Set against the politically inflammatory backdrop of the continuing Hamas-Netanyahu war in Gaza and the concurrent hostilities between the Iranian Shiite theocracy and the Israeli Netanyahu government, who would have thought that Australia, a country thousands of kilometers from the Middle East, would become a prime target of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps? But it happened. On the 26th of August, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Director General of ASIO, Australia's primary domestic intelligence service, Mike Burgess, announced that they rolled back a bizarre Iranian-backed conspiracy designed to target Jewish businesses and places of worship. The goal? To exploit the ethnic sectarian fissures that exist in multicultural Australia, turning Muslim, ostensibly Sunni and Shiite Australians against the Jewish community, and turning non-Muslim and non-Jewish Australians against both groups. Since its inception as official government policy, largely supported by both major political parties, there have been questions about multiculturalism. Arguably, it all began in the mid-1980s with Australian historian Geoffrey Blainey's public unease about whether this policy was good for social cohesion. This was seized upon by fringe right-wing parties such as Pauline Hanson's One Nation Party, which sought to tap into public anti-immigrant sentiment and multicultural skeptics alike. Through multiculturalism, Australia changed. Being an Australian was no longer about retaining the old public-private divide, keeping a united Australian identity, whatever one's origins in public, while celebrating one's unique racial, ethnic, and sectarian identities in private. Under multiculturalism, celebrating our differences, flying foreign flags openly, declaring sentimentality for and sometimes enduring loyalties to places of origin became the norm. Politics adapted to this new norm. Politicians sought to understand the composition of Australian society, where most of this or that group were, so that they could pander to the ethnic vote. People asked each other and made a point of acknowledging each other's differences in pleasant conversation. Even among second and third generation non-Anglo-Celtic Australians, it was unusual for a non-Anglo-Celtic person to say they were a proud Australian, unless they were in the military. Usually they replied with great pride that I'm Greek, I'm Italian, I'm Vietnamese. Before this development in the 1990s, which is not that long ago, the only thing that mattered wasn't where you came from, but that your loyalty as a citizen was firmly and publicly to the Commonwealth of Australia. But the one thing that defenders of multiculturalism seemed blind to was that celebrating and normalizing differences publicly in this way would become a way of socially dividing people by race, ethnicity, and religion. Few thought this a problem and defended multiculturalism vociferously, especially those from the political left who were the first to adopt and adapt to this policy position. Minor potentates from among the ethnic communities also defended multiculturalism. These people, who are often hidden from the public in formerly private and silent communities within the ethnic club circuit, were now loudly welcomed into the public domain. To play ethnic politics became both prestigious and, for some, a path to wealth and success, as government monies were released to create new bureaucratic structures designed to promote and support this doctrine. Australia, as an island continent, is so far away from everywhere that we could do what we liked with impunity, that things like social cohesion and public unity were relics of an imperfect past, a racist past, whose only champions were racists and other social outcasts from the extreme political right. But then there was the 26th of August 2025, a date that may not go down as a day of infamy for Australia, but it should. If ever there was a wake-up call that perhaps we've trodden down the unity and diversity path for too long, this was it. A foreign power, Iran, understood the schisms and fissures within the Australian body politic and sought the low-hanging fruit of this vulnerability. From a national security perspective, multiculturalism does not pass the sniff test. As it was during the war on terrorism, when poor or misguided journalism whipped up hysterical Islamophobia among non-Muslim Australians, which made life unnecessarily difficult for Arab, Persian, Turkish, Indian and other Australians of the Muslim persuasion. Now, at the behest of agents of Iranian influence, this can now be extended to include Jewish Australians too. And while there is an entirely different post that can be made about Jewish Australians and their very real struggles adapting to life in Australia and cohabiting with radicalized elements of the Muslim Australian community, which do exist, for now, let's just focus on the events of the 26th of August. The question that begs answering is, now that ASIO has thankfully struck back at this IRGC operation to tear our country apart, are we stronger for it? Will the defenders of multiculturalism now step forward and argue that ethnic tolerance saved Australia from the IRGC? No, it didn't. ASIO did. Not because of the strength of multiculturalism, but inversely and perversely due to this policy's existence. How long before another foreign power attempts to lash out at Australia in the same way? The days of celebrating what makes us different from one another should be replaced by celebrating what unites us. We all want a peaceful and prosperous life for ourselves and our children. We all want to be governed well. We all want to be able to trust each other as citizens of this great, unique country that we are all part of, lessening what divides us and enhancing what unites us. This philosophy is what made Australia a great country in the past and should keep us safe from those who seek to drive wedges between us now and into the future.